Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Producer Chris, once again behind the scenes as we are live before NFL Week 17. The Cowboys taking on the Lions. A super chat already coming in from Marcus Arnold. Says, Parsons, 2 holding calls drawn all season. That's BS. Browns fans agree with you wholeheartedly, by the way. The way the NFL is working, and I don't like it, but it is the way they're working in almost all cases, the top-tier edge rushers don't get holding calls because they would break the game and they want points on offense. It's very dumb. It's very stupid. There's no sane person on earth who, if you said, hey, Micah Parsons hasn't drawn a holding call in 9.5 games, they go, yeah, that definitely makes sense. Nobody believes that. It's ridiculous. Gatlin, $5. DC for life. Heard today that maybe the difference in home and away games is Dak is controlling the offense more than Mike at home and flipped during away. I think that was Marshall Falk who laid that one out. The Cowboys have blamed communication issues as to why they've done stuff like less motion, etc., on the road. I think the big issue is they've gone into a conservative shell against both the 49ers, the Cardinals, the Bills, and the Dolphins for at least multiple quarters in those games. By the way, they also did it against Philly. It wasn't quite as obvious. Their solution to things aren't going their way is to go conservative, and that doesn't make any sense to me. The theory goes along that on the road, it's a little bit tougher to make those checks and audibles because the coaching staff is getting the play in maybe a little bit later, and it's louder, and it's tough to communicate, which is feasible. Also, that's not a good thing. If it is true, which they'll never really admit, I think there is at least some truth to it. Not a good thing. It means you can't rely on your coach to do the right thing. It means your quarterback's bailing you out every play. That doesn't work. As you see in Kansas City, not even Mahomes can do it. Not a good thing. Object Pawar, let Dak deal. How was the offense in terms of wide receiver separation, pass protection, running game, and play calling and scheme? What can be improved against the Lions? Really don't think the receivers. I'll get the numbers here. Sorry, I was going with the passing stats here. Pass protection was not good. Dak was pressured on half of his dropbacks against the Dolphins. That's really bad. And he definitely held it longer than he normally does. It came in just under 3 seconds. His season average is 2.72. It still wasn't even top 5 among highest, holding this year. There were just some god-awful reps from Chuma Edoga, which were all mental breakdowns. You saw those, like he just went for the wrong guy for really no reason. Pass protection was not very good at all. The player tracking numbers for receiver separation doesn't seem to be working. Look at the next-gen stats numbers. It says 0 for CeeDee Lamb. We know that's not true. I think they just didn't track that one right for whatever reason. Gallup, again, was very low. Cooks was low but wasn't targeted very much. And, yeah, it is broken for Lamb. It says he had 0 targets. Tolbert was low because he just had the one jump ball. Ferguson was fine. But Lamb was wide open all game, which is a problem because they stopped going to him, which I will never truly understand. Running game, terrible. Been that way for a while. We'll go into it on today's show, actually. Play calling and scheme, good in the first quarter, good in the fourth quarter, if not great, outside of some questionable decisions. And then not good in between, because again, they went into the non-motion conservative show. The rain started, and it's like they lost their damn minds when, oh my God, we have to be conservative. The quarterback draw on 2nd and 12 was a joke, or sneak, I should say. Seriously? That was such scared coaching there. Running game, bad. But what can be improved? Get Tyron Smith healthy. Force feed CeeDee Lamb. This isn't hard. The Dolphins did nothing to stop him all game, except your coaching staff took him out. Make it make sense. Ecuador man AOG, how do we get rid of McCarthy for a younger head coach? Lose to the Lions and lose in the first round of the postseason. That might be enough to get him fired. Hawkeyes, Xmas Eve game was painful, but watching the Niners lose was beautiful, just saying. All I will say on top of this is, and Purdy's getting a pretty good amount of heat, so it's probably even. Can you imagine if Dak did that? If Dak threw 4 interceptions in a primetime game in that scenario, and he throws 1, the world loses their minds. Twitter might have broken. The memes would have been off the charts. Instead, Dak leads the NFL in touchdown passes. Robert Peters, it's that time of the year. I grow tired of their mental issues on why they can't advance in the later part of the season and the playoffs. Kind of been that way for almost 20 years now. It's probably not just one individual player or coach who's responsible at that stage. Different reasons each year. What's annoying to me is if they play their A game, they can beat any team in football. I really do believe that. Yet they haven't had their A game for the last couple, even the Eagles game, they didn't have their A game. Last couple big games, they haven't had it. Haven't had it since the Bucs playoff game last year, if we're being honest. So why is that? I think that's a coaching issue, by the way. Today's show is made possible by Rocket Money. You guys can head over to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys and stop wasting money on things you don't need. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. And there's also Prize Picks sponsoring us here on today's show. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You're just picking player stat projections, 2 to 6 more than or less than on those stat projections. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments and the description. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Part of the injury conversation we'll have today is on Tyron Smith. So will he play against the Detroit Lions? The Cowboys are at least pushing their optimism, which I have learned by now never to fully believe them because they lie about it. Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comment section right now. We got some updates from Tyron and Jerry Jones we'll get into, and a super chat from Abja Pawar. The offensive line and backs fail to show up in big games. This is not the 2016 offensive line anymore. It's not who they are. Even with Tyron Smith out there, it's not the same. I think in particular this shows that there are times where the issue with the O-line is the pass protection gaffes come in like critical moments, which because too often you're setting yourself up into third downs. And you don't want to be there if you can avoid it because you get ultra conservative. The running game, which I think we can blame Pollard some, we can blame Zeke the past years. That's all fine. A lot of blame to go around. The offensive line has not done a good job. This team has been unable to run the football against passable teams the past 3 years. And the numbers are startling, as we'll get into on today's show. From Bryce Peace, not sure how to pronounce that one, Bryce, but it's first time super chat, so 2 claps for Bryce. I still believe in this team. It's been a weird year for a lot of teams, but I don't know if I can trust Mike McCarthy to make a game-changing call or challenge. I also don't know if I trust him to have them truly ready to go and locked in. Because when your team just continues to struggle, when you're right, their A game is as good as anybody. When they continue to struggle in those big moments, I kind of think that's a coaching thing. You know, it kind of reminds me like, this is a worse example of, you guys remember when Doug Collins was an NBA coach? Doug Collins was awesome about taking a not-so-good team and making them a borderline playoff team. But he wasn't good about making a potential playoff team into more than that. He was never good enough in that area. I kind of worry to a better version where you're at with Mike McCarthy right now. Speaking of Big Mike, what is your confidence level in Mike McCarthy right now? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. I think it's funny. I don't think there are that many NFC teams that feel great about where they sit right now. Just overall, like the Eagles they're on a bigger reeling point than you are at this moment. And then the Niners just got their butts kicked by the Ravens in prime time, and Purdy was terrible in that game. The Lions won the division. They're feeling great, but they've also had like some, they don't look great. Like they allowed 411 yards to Nick Mullins. That's not good. The Rams and Seahawks are like they're fighting and scrapping and clawing, and you beat them twice. The Bucs are actually playing very well right now. They're also the Bucs. All right, Gatlin. We need a painting of Dak force-feeding CD for the coaching staff. Also glad I found this channel. Y'all are great. Thank you, Gatlin. I appreciate that. I also said, I put 2. Oh, well, good, because that's appreciate that, Gatlin. It's fine. Yes, I would agree. Back to the Dak one. You very clearly need to have Dak and Lamb sit down with McCarthy again. And I do say again because that was basically what happened at the bye. It was like, hey, we got to do this. And they did it. And they've gotten away with it, or gotten away from it the past 2 weeks, even kind of the past 3 games to a certain extent. It is very clear this offense is at its best when it is Dak to Lamb. You have a top, unless you're playing like a top, you've got basically 2 guys playing at top 5 levels relative to their positions this season. Feed the hell out of them. Make those 2 your focal point. It's not working otherwise consistently enough. All right, who you got in this week's game? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. I was disappointed to lose to the Bills and lose to the Dolphins. You were underdogs. That does carry the expectations there. You are favored this week against the Lions. You are at home against a team that has even more fraudulent tendencies, namely on defense, than you do. If you do not beat the Lions this week, I am going to be pissed. I will be incredibly upset, and I think I speak for many of us, our faith level is going to be on empty if they lose this game. Who you got? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Cammy Elf Gaming, love the show, fan for life. Mike Tomlin to replace Mike McCarthy. I mean, I think Tomlin's a better coach. Funny, you kind of have some similar conversations in Pittsburgh right now because Pittsburgh blew 2 games against terrible teams. They should have been a playoff team this year. My biggest question for Tomlin is, who's his play caller? I think he kind of got bailed out by Big Ben being a really good quarterback for many years. Hired Matt Canada and stuck with him for way too long. What is his plan at offensive coordinator? As a pure head coach, Tomlin's better. I think most of us would agree with that. But what's your plan at offensive coordinator? Because if you're just going to go with, I'm going to go with Mike Sullivan, that's not going to work. Like I think he can come up with a good plan, but I need to see what that plan is. For Mark, this team is inconsistent on all levels. One of the coach calls a good game, player makes the plays, the next both disappear, factor strength of schedule 2. Mark's not wrong. And they certainly have had chances to kind of end that narrative to a certain extent by beating Miami or beating Buffalo. Defense just makes the stop. We're once again putting Dak in that MVP conversation, which isn't exactly fair because Dak and the offense disappeared for basically 2 quarters. Defense kept them alive, had an incredible drive to go win the game despite you run a play action and no one blocks the best pass rusher on 1st and goal from the inch-yard line. Like, what are you doing? But no, and the reason everyone wants consistency, this is a very inconsistent sport. That's what this sport is. Nobody is really actually consistent for more than a couple games at a time. You saw with the 49ers, right? They look unstoppable, and Purdy throws 4 interceptions against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have blown out the Lions and blown games to other teams this year. That's how football tends to be. But the Cowboys' inconsistency has consistently reared its head in the biggest of moments. Ecuador man AOG, after 30 years of losing, can't totally believe. I get it. This is fair. It's also the pinned comment, or the pinned poll, I should say, by the way. Do you believe in this Cowboys team? Y for yes and for no. It's been a very long time since they've done it. And the only thing consistent about this team is they find new and creative ways to lose games. You fumble the ball at the half-yard line because your fullback, your UDFA fullback / H-back, just doesn't grab the ball that's directly in his chest. It'll be credited against Dak, that's fine, whatever. It's him in the chest. Tony Pollard could have scored the play before by just going to the pylon. All you had to do, it was there. Didn't do it. Didn't make sense. You score to take the lead with 3.5 minutes left, and your defense can't get a stop after that. They get the clock run at them. Damone Clark makes the most blatant face mask penalty ever. What are you going to do? It's really frustrating. It really is. So do you believe? Y for yes, N for no. Chris B, I'm at the point where if Mike doesn't get us to the NFC title game, he's got to go. I get he's won 12 games in 3 years, but if not this year, it won't happen. You're at a very simultaneously fun and not fun spot to be. Like, you are a playoff team. You are a clear-cut top team in the NFC. I'd still put you second. You're better than Philly. You beat them. Beat them up pretty easily at home last time. I think you're better than Tampa. I think you're going to prove better than the Lions. If you don't, I'm going to be really upset. I'm going to change my tune on that front. You're better than those wild card teams. I don't think you're better than San Francisco. And because you kind of farted away a few games later this year, you're probably going to be the 5 seed. And unless you get some help, can take care of business against Tampa, who's playing better this year. In fact, I think might be a better team than the one that played last year. It's just that there's no Brady boost this time around. But I have zero faith in your ability to beat San Francisco at home or on the road. Maybe the Ravens showed the blueprint, so to speak. Force a bunch of turnovers, obviously. I don't think you can beat them. I really don't. So until they prove me wrong, I'm going to go that route. For Mark, not a fan of Dak, as you know, but it's not all on him. I will say that he had the number one offense, 22 technically. If we talk MVP and $50 million a year, I do expect more out of our quarterback. I think this is fair as well, by the way. I kind of hate that the number rises every time, but it is what it is at this point. If I told you the Cowboys held the defense at 22, you would have said, awesome. They probably won, right? If I showed you that almost every drive got into Cowboys territory, you would have went, oh, okay, maybe not so much there. When your game comes down to truly one play, there's about 25 different plays you can go with, right? What happens if CeeDee Lamb doesn't line up offsides and get the illegal shift penalty? What happens if Micah gets a holding call literally one time in his life? What happens if Lipke doesn't fumble the ball in his chest? What happens if the offense doesn't get super conservative? What happens if Dak sees the field better in the second quarter? What happens if Dallas gets a stop? For all that MVP talk, and this maybe isn't even fair to kind of flip it this way, because it was great in the first quarter, great in the fourth quarter, kind of iffy in between. If the defense gets a stop on that final drive, and you get the moment of Dak throwing a dime to CeeDee Lamb in the corner of the end zone for the game-winning score, he's right back in that MVP conversation. That's why you always want your quarterback in there, because it's a wins partially based award. That's why Lamar suddenly jumps to the MVP favorite, because he took down Purdy and Purdy was terrible. It's not exactly fair. That is how it tends to go. That's why I don't think Dak's going to win. Might finish like fourth or whatever in the voting, but wild card quarterbacks don't win that award. Just not how it goes. From not Jeremy Chugg's burner, at 25, the Cowboys have only let me down. I put on clown makeup every winter. I'm ready to be hurt again. Free Micah from the Zebras. 38 quarters. Make it make sense. Chris B. My biggest problem with Mike is he coaches scared on the road in big games. God forbid it's windy or raining, he goes even more conservative. Can't happen. It could happen if your run offense didn't suck. Let's call it what it is. And it's not just Pollard. It's not just the offensive line. It's not just Dowdle. It's not just the team. It's all of it. This run game sucks. It is not good. It continues. It is the single, frankly, offense, defense, individual stuff. You want your single biggest constant for your losses the past 3 seasons? Your run game's been terrible. That is the single most correlated play. Not necessarily causation, but single most correlated play. And I agree. Mike goes conservative shell way, way too much. For Mark, I think Philly's a fake team as well. They played a ton of teams with poor quarterbacks. Hurts is overrated. His legs are special. This year, the Philly defense is horrible. I tweeted this out the other day. Here's my mindset. There's like 2 teams that don't have fraudulent tendencies this season. Miami had their first win over above 500 team last week. They've had them all year. Cowboys have them. I think you're right. The Eagles have them. Lions have them. They should have been swept by the Bears. I didn't think the Niners had them. Then they kind of did against the Ravens. The Ravens, I think, are the best team in football right now, but they also have kind of folded in multiple games in the second half. Their offense has been below average over the course of the year in these second half of games. It's wide open. It's what's so frustrating is you can do it if you just get your head on straight. Mark also says, I don't get why you pay Dak big money and know he will be asking top 3 money and don't allow him to air it out and audible more, kind of like Romo. That's what's frustrating is they have done this so far. Or at least they've done some of it. But like you point out, it's not consistent. You can watch, go back and watch the middle couple drives where they did nothing. Look at the emotion, look at the pre-snap adjustments, and go watch that final drive. Constant adjustments, constant motion. The offense is unquestionably better. And again, it's been a literal top 2 offense the past 3 years with a healthy Dak Prescott. It's really good. Moments of consistency, make no mistake. Totally fine to want more, obviously. But then they just kind of go into that conservative shell we keep talking about. Really frustrating. Chris B., Ben Johnson or Slowick train, Mike McDonald. If defense, it's the Ravens defensive coordinator. 3 great names, Chris. Top of my list as well. Foxtrot Gaming. Happy early New Year, Tom. Would it be worth resting starters this week to prevent injuries before the playoffs? No. You are still... Do you want to back into the postseason with 3 or 4 losses in the last 4 games? I don't. Go win this game. You're still alive in the NFC East. It's unlikely. You got maybe a 20% chance at best. I'm not sitting guys. I don't. If you're out of it, yes, you can sit guys. You're still alive? No, can't do it. M-Town, first time super chat. 2 claps for M-Town. 3rd and 1 or 2. Why are we always passing the ball? Is Dak changing the plays to a pass at the same problems last year? No, there are the occasional checks, to be clear. But they don't trust their ground game, which is it's that weird dichotomy. Like they ran that stupid play action pass from the goal line because they did not trust their ability to just punch it in. That's why they did that. And yet they get really run heavy. When it's not going their way, they get scared and they go back to the run. Does not make sense. It does. It's bad coaching. Mark, you're spot on, Tom. Thank you, Mark. Hope the family as well. They are. I think what gets us fans is JJ and his hype just don't correlate to playoff wins. I wish JJ would just shut up. I will tell you this much. And Jerry admitted it today publicly, by the way. This is exactly where the Cowboys want to be. It is the middle of December. They had clinched the playoff spot. They are fighting for the division. They are a playoff team. Jerry wants to be there every year. Because this year it'll be different. This year they'll get the bounces their way. Hasn't happened yet. Don't know when it will. Gatlin, I get being upset about not making it deep, but there are 18 teams who don't even get the chance at least. We have a chance to make it far. This is also fair. You are a good football team. I still think you're a top 7-ish, whatever, football team, even with the back-to-back losses, if not maybe top 6 or higher. But we want to be top 4, top 2, or top 1. And that is a very high bar to clear, and that's why it's so frustrating. Chris B., does Mike forget to use motion? Is it because he's old school? I don't know. It really doesn't make sense. That's what's very frustrating to me. He's not just getting away from the things that worked, like just forgetting to use CeeDee Lamb for 2 quarters. I don't understand it. There's no excuse for it. It was a bad job. If they had fed Lamb the entire second quarter and not been scared of the rain that came down, they'd have won that game. Now there's also 10 plays I can cite there, but still it's not that great. J Love, why not move Tyler to left tackle and Bass to left guard? First off, first time super chat. Thank you, Jay. 2 claps for Jay. I think I might have missed one earlier, so 2 more claps for somebody else. TJ Bass was good in the preseason. I would almost say Adoga's been better than what we've seen from Bass this year. Neither guy. Bass is not ready yet. I think he needs more time. I also think in the end, Bass is probably more of a backup guy. But again, the solution is now you're banking on an undrafted free agent. So your solutions are not great because you missed your real window to fix those issues in the offseason. From Mark, I think our run game can be good, half to the opposite of the norm. Set up the run by passing. We have 3 excellent passers and a big-time quarterback. And in the games on that streak, because Mark's right here, on that winning streak that they went on, I know bad competition, whatever, but on that hot streak they were on, even against the Eagles when they lost that game, since the bye until the Bills game, that's what they were doing. They were allowing first down throws. They were doing pre-snap motion, pushing the ball downfield. And they were winning games and then trying to grind out games in the fourth quarter on the ground. That's a really good idea. They should go back to that. I don't think it's that hard. Sometimes the coaches make it harder than it needs to be, and there's some galaxy brain stuff, I guess. From Gatlin. Oh, also, one thought. When the opposing team gets the sack to run in the backfield to start, they should go, hurry up, try to catch them slipping. It would be hilarious. It would be funny. You don't see it normally because they're not that far behind the field. And when it's a sack, normally the receiver is further downfield than the defender is in the backfield. Happens very, very rarely, but it would be very funny. All right, let's get this show started off correctly. Let's get to 100 likes right now. We are at the moment, 78 with over 300 people watching. Sound off in the comment section, or not the comment section, by liking the video for me right now. Can we get to 100 here? Sip some water. Got a long show today, too. But hey, we'll spend the first half hour doing Super Chats. Who cares? There's our 100 likes here. Here's what's coming up on today's live edition of the Cowboys Report. News and rumors, including some injury updates here for your Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys versus Lions preview. We'll talk quite a bit of ball on that front there. A Cowboys mailbag. And the Dallas Cowboys playoff picture updates, which the Cowboys, as weird as it sounds, that Dolphins game didn't kill you. You still need help, but did not kill you. All coming up live here on the Cowboys Report. Diving right into the Cowboys Report, injury updates here. We begin with Tyron Smith. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones, Tyron himself, optimistic that that Smith can play for the Cowboys against the Detroit Lions. Smith says his back is feeling better. Didn't call it a stinger, just called it a back injury in a conversation with the Dallas Morning News. As we all saw, very clear the Cowboys missed him last week. It was a huge loss because somehow this team has yet to find a way to replace Tyron when he's injured. It's been like 7 years now of this. Doesn't make any sense there. Cowboys are hopeful. Let's see how a shortened week of practice goes for Smith. There are no pads on this week. It'll be a lot of walkthrough stuff, so you'll maybe see him on Thursday, potentially. Now, if you want Tyron Smith to play this week, then like the video right now. Every single person watching should like the video if you want to beat the Lions, because Tyron Smith makes you a better football team. So like that video for me right now. Tyron Smith, the run blocking, not as good as it was. Again, it's all kind of interconnected. I think the scheme has not been nearly good enough on the run blocking side of it. He has allowed 0 sacks, 0 hits, and 15 hurries this season. He's allowing a hurry like, what's the numbers here? A ridiculous fraction of the snaps. 15 hurries in 717 snaps is an unbelievable figure. Frankly, he has been one of the best pass-protecting left tackles in football. Meanwhile, the backup, Chuma Edoga, every game he started, there has been multiple just like, oh my God, what are you doing moments. Now, the first couple games, they were all physical mistakes. Like, he got beaten. There were a few of those against the Dolphins too. But the two that stands out, he just didn't block his guy. Dolphins bring the pressure off the left side. They bring 3 on the left side. Center, left guard, left tackle, all take one. Edoga goes inside for no reason. I hated the play call. The dumb play-action pass from 1st and goal from the inch yard line. Edoga shifts inside, leaves Bradley Chubb unblocked. It's by the way, miracle Dak did not fumble that play because he was untouched. You can't have it. And you had to chip more, you didn't chip enough. It just didn't make any sense to me. The clear drop-off from Tyron Smith to Edoga is about what we thought it would be. It's Chuma Edoga, right? He's actually probably played above expectations. But it's insane to me how 6-7 years into this of, hey, Tyron is going to miss at least 3 games. He does it every year. He's just not going to be able to stay healthy. He's great when he's out there, can't stay healthy. There is still no viable backup plan for his injuries. All these years, and the solution is, let's try this vet minimum offensive tackle who nobody else wanted. Byron Bell. You draft Chaz Green. Doesn't work out very well. You have Tyler Smith, but there's no viable left guard option really either. It's still Chuma Edoga. It doesn't make any sense. You want to try Austin Richards against the Commanders or Lions? Maybe. I don't like Aiden Hutchinson against him. Kind of scary to me. I need Tyron Smith out there. Get him healthy. Get him playing well. You're still NFC mix. Second you're out, sit him. Will Tyron Smith play against the Detroit Lions? It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Y for yes, N for no. All right, some more injury news here. Johnathan Hankins says he wants to play against Lions, hometown team. I think this will be a bit of a challenge with the high ankle sprain. Very clear you miss him right now, although I still maintain that defensive tackle has not been your biggest issue in terms of the run game. You were much better against the Miami Dolphins, to be clear. I think you had a really bad game from Carl Davis against the Dolphins. They basically benched him, frankly. Some bad reps from Gallimore, from Golston, from Mozzie Smith, too. I think this is the type of game you want him back out there. The Lions can run the ball north and south with David Montgomery. You want Hankins out there as one of your top defensive tackles. Might be a bit of a stretch to get him out there, but I think it'd be a good thing in the end if he were able to. Meanwhile, Stephon Gilmore, it sounds like he's going to be good to go. That injury against the Dolphins looked bad. I don't know if he got the wind knocked out of him, or I'm not even sure what the injury was. I never saw the initial injury report. We'll see when that comes out, probably later tonight. But he should be good to go, which thank God. It is not an accident that immediately when Stephon Gilmore leaves the game, Dolphins go, all right, Tyreek Hill and Deshaun Wright, we're going to do a quick comeback route for easy 9 yards. And if you're Deshaun Wright, you have to play off ball on Tyreek Hill because you can't run with him. And that's what made the Hill and the Dolphins offense so dynamic, etc. But you need Gilmore out there. Bland, I thought, was pretty solid against the Dolphins, too, outside of the Tyreek Hill, big kind of couple chunk plays. Your linebackers had a rough go again of it. Jordan Lewis was great against the run, too, which was a big deal. You need Gilmore. I think he'll be okay. Today's show is made possible by Rocket Money. How much do you think you're paying per month on subscriptions? Probably a pretty low amount, right? Well, most people think they're paying about $80. The reality is closer to $200 on average. Why I love using Rocket Money. It's a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills, all in one place. Over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has saved its customers an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/cowboys. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. rocketmoney.com/cowboys. Sticking on the defensive tackle conversation here, Sebastian Joseph Day had been cut by the Chargers. He has cleared waivers. He is free to sign with any team. Now, Mozzie Smith has certainly not lived up to expectations. He's still been, I think, your best or second best run-stopping DT with Hankins out. Very low bar, probably part of the issues there. Carl Davis, he had a rough go against the Dolphins. He played a handful of snaps, and they were like, nope, this is not working, and they basically benched him. He was not a good fit against the Dolphins. The Dolphins still do some more outside, east-west stuff, and Davis just can't move that way to hold up there. And understandably so, name you probably have heard of, is available. People want to sign him. The TFL numbers look fine from 2022. The play has begun to decline for Sebastian Joseph Day. That's why the Chargers cut him. He was a Brandon Staley guy. Did not work. But I think there is still some run-stopping ability. And if the bar is just Carl Davis, then okay, maybe this could make some sense. The issue here, the core issue is you should have Hankins back soon. You should have Hankins back on this team. And maybe it's not against the Lions, but Commanders, playoff time. So that by the time Joseph Day gets up to speed, Hankins, in theory, is back, and then you're not really getting any benefit from Joseph Day. So would you sign him? S for sign, P for pass. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. My hybrid solution is, how about you just put him on the practice squad? Right? If he wants to, get a good look at him, give yourself some more depth, learn the offense or defense, that way, knock on wood. If injuries reappear, you're not scrambling for desperation. I don't think he's an active roster guy for you at the moment, but practice squad, sure, I have no issues there. All right, let's talk about some more venting things here. The CeeDee Lamb usage, frankly, was criminal. He was absolutely cooking the Dolphins. And then he stopped getting targets, and it doesn't make sense. Here's what Lamb said on the Dolphins game in his usage. Started off the game hot. I went absent. That's why it was weird. They weren't doing anything. It was weird that second and third quarter. Very weird. This next part is very telling to me. I'm reading 2 lines, but it's very telling to me. I think if I'm going to be involved, keep me involved. For us to be the team we want to be, we have to continue to be confident in who we are, stick to the script, and be explosive. Lamb is correct. And that quote tells me they went away from the script. Otherwise, why mention it? The plan was to have CeeDee Lamb be heavily involved against the Miami Dolphins. And again, what Lamb seems to imply here, they went away from it. Why? It rained a little bit and they lost their damn minds. So here's what needs to happen. Dak and Lamb got to sit down with Big Mike again. Emphasis on again, because I think that's what happened during the bye. And say, look, man, we got to feed our superstar wide receiver. He's got to be involved more. The offense, again, went into a shell. It can't happen. You can't go into this conservative, cowardly BS and win games against better football teams or football teams as good as you. Your best chance to win games is for Dak to air it out and particularly feed CeeDee Lamb. Not do tunnel screens to Michael Gallup and do quarterback sneaks on 2nd and 12 because it's raining. Seriously? Like the Dolphins backed up in their own end zone, what do? Bomb to Jalen Waddle. What do the Cowboys do? We're going to sneak it. And then you don't sneak it on 1st and goal from the 1, and you do a drop back play action that no one believes, and you take a huge step. I just make it make sense. What is your confidence level in Mike McCarthy right now? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. We will also discuss about Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has not drawn a holding call in 38 quarters, i.e. a full 9.5 games. It is very clear, if Mike has made comments, Tank has made comments, the frustration is mounting for them. Again, who can blame them? The Cowboys have had 20 holding flags thrown against them this year. And it's tied for the NFL's most with the Chiefs. They have drawn the bottom 5 fewest, or among the bottom 5 fewest. Micah's upset. I mean, I'm sure everyone saw the photo, right? Of Micah being held by 2 different players. One guy's got him around the neck, one guy's got him around the waist. This is holding. It's 2 holdings, just like there was the 2 PIs on the one end zone play. I can't imagine how frustrating it is for Micah Parsons and his defense, because Damone Clark didn't call it either, to be among the most flagged teams for holding and among the least beneficiary. It's a massive gap. And if you tell any person who has watched football this year and you go, hey, Micah Parsons hasn't drawn a holding call in 9.5 games, no one is saying that seems fair and accurate. Nobody believes that. And by the way, it's not just unique to Micah. Browns and Myles Garrett, the Bosa's in San Francisco and LA get it. Max Crosby and the Raiders, they don't get holding calls. It's how the NFL keeps the offense winning. But shoot, guys, it's directly impacting the play. Here's my prediction. Micah will not get a holding call against the Lions. In a game they're already going to win against the Commanders, Micah will get that holding call to end the streak. So before we go, let's have some fun. F the refs for me in the comment section right now. We'll give some more shout-outs here for this as well. Again, there's a lot of, I'm not saying the refs are the only reason why that the refs or the Cowboys, I'm not saying that to be clear at all, but it's not, just call the holding flag one time. Like one time is all I'm asking for. And because you're at the point, like, you're saying to opposing teams, the NFL is, just hold him. They're not going to throw the flag. From Zach Taylor's super chat here. How can Parsons get these holding penalties called on him? Do the Cowboys send all the holds to the league? Does he need to sell it better? They do send it. They absolutely do. That's how Gelkin got all the clips. Because they sent it. Look. Flop. Which, by the way, I hate. I hate flopping. Garrett plays through the calls too. But even when he tries to sell, he doesn't get the call either. Like, I don't know what the answer is. If I did, I would tell it to the Browns and Niners and Raiders too, because their superstar just don't get calls either. Chris B, if Dak and Lamb have to keep talking to Mike, I agree. It's not really a solution long term. It's a good thing, I guess, in the short term, that they felt powerful and empowered enough to do it, and Mike listened to them, but it's not really fixing the root cause, is it? Great Duke Bothers. This year's Cowboys play last year's Cowboys. Who wins? Ooh. I think this year's Cowboys. Even with some of the injuries, I think no, it's this year's Cowboys. I think they're a better team on paper. I think Mike's been at least an incremental improvement over Kellen Moore as a play caller. I think this year's Cowboys team is better. They played a tougher schedule, by the way, this season, and they're going to finish with a very similar record. So for Mark, I think this team does not trust Dak. Either neither do I, mind you, LOL. It's just we pay him and say all right stuff, but game play say otherwise. Coach sucks. See, that's what's frustrating to me. They fully trusted him in this entire win streak, and then they've allowed him to make constant checks and adjustments and push the ball downfield. Now, at the beginning of this year, I agree, and this is part of my issue, is they allowed the national media narrative and some fan narrative too of he's a turnover machine to scare them, which for the record, he has never been. He is among the NFL's best quarterbacks ever at not turning the football over on a per-play basis. He has been, outside of a down year last year, that rough stretch from when he had no receivers, it was a washed-up Dez and Cole Beasley and Noah McGruber. Outside of those couple moments, and last year was not his fault. We've gone over that 1,000 times. Drops everywhere. They won't admit it. They won't blame Gallup, by the way, because he's still on the team. Gallup was not running the correct routes and depths. It was on the receivers more than anything else there. But they got scared. They went, oh, he's a turnover machine. They're all right. And then they kind of realized, oh, maybe he's not. And they allowed the offense to open back up to great results. And then I think the last two games, the weather scared them. And okay, we got to run, pound that ball. And they got scared and they stopped doing motion and stuff. And I think in the middle part of that game against the Dolphins, it was very clear Dak was not seeing it correctly. He didn't trust what he saw. The Dolphins were doing some rotation stuff after the snap. And do you know why it looked better early on and later in the game? They were doing some motion stuff that would help force the Dolphins to show their hands a little bit. And when Dak's seeing it, Dak's dealing. And they just got away from the stuff that has worked, which is trusting the quarterback and allowing him to air it out. Now, that's true for a lot of teams. It's not necessarily a unique McCarthy-Dak Cowboys issue. You've seen it to an extent in Kansas City, too. And they're trying to run the ball a lot, and they can't run the football, and look what's happened. It's been a problem. Chris B., you think Till and Tua have to talk to Mike McDaniel? No, because Mike McDaniel is a top 3 play caller in this game. Maybe top 4, top 5, worst case. I don't know. The thing that is so tough about the Dolphins, right? The offense, I love it. It's brilliant. It's the Dolphins' time to throw is the shortest in football, 2.37 seconds. Yet the average intended air yards is above league average or right around it. And it's not that far behind Dak because those receivers are so damned fast, they just get downfield and get open. That's why I love McDaniel, I love McVay, I love Shanahan. That offensive style clear works. And the stuff that's worked for Dallas this year has been taking those plays. How many cheap motions plays did we see against the Miami Dolphins? They were a staple in that winning streak. Why'd they go away? They got to stop being scared. They got to stop being scared. We're going to preview Cowboys versus Lions here. We're going to change it up. The likes have not worked the past 2 weeks. Instead, if you want the Cowboys to beat the Lions, spam me in the comment section. Whoever does it the most will get a free shout-out, or not free, just a shout-out on our other preview later this week. So spam me in the comment section right now. Cowboys are heavy favorites at home on Saturday Night Football. It's on ESPN, by the way, against the Detroit Lions. 6.5 point favorites at home against a Lions that has a better record because the Lions defense is not that good. It's why the over-under point total here is 53.5. The bookmakers feeling a big-time scoring output in this matchup. Two top 5 offenses. Cowboys rank 2nd in scoring offense. The Lions rank 5th in scoring offense. The difference with over about 4.5 points per game on average takes you from number 5 to number 24. The Lions defense has some very troubling tendencies so far this season. Here are the Cowboys' last 5 games. Blowout win over the Commanders, blowout win over the Seattle, blowout win over the Eagles, and then some collapses. Bad showing against the Bills, a narrow loss against the Miami Dolphins. The Lions, meanwhile, have also shown some inconsistencies here. Lose to Green Bay on Thanksgiving because that's what the Lions do on Thanksgiving, apparently. Beat the Saints narrowly. Bad loss to the Bears. Blow out Denver. Squeak by a win against the Minnesota Vikings. All of which is kind of like, okay, it's not the best outcome, not the worst outcome. Both these teams have kind of shown flashes of like, are they good enough? Like there's some, like almost every team this year outside of maybe 1 or 2, everyone has fraudulent tendencies this season. The Lions should have been swept by Chicago. They could easily be below 500 in the AFC North this year. Instead, they've already clinched the division. So who you got winning this week? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. It'll be today's pinned comment. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Spam your C for the Cowboys or vote L. Lions is perfect because it's an L for the Cowboys and L for the Lions. It's a loss. Get it? Makes sense. Go vote if the ad comes here on YouTube at the pinned comment. All right, Cowboys injury news and updates here. Dallas seems optimistic that Tyron Smith is going to be able to play. I kind of want to see how it all plays out. I want to see that injury reports come out throughout the week, knowing he's not going to practice early on because he doesn't normally anyway. If he gets a limited session in this week, I think he will play. But I got to see it because if you don't do at least a limited, you don't play for Mike McCarthy. That has not been the case at any point this season. Seems like Stephon Gilmore should be fine. He left that game with the weird injury. He'll probably get some rest day, or at least the rest day, if not days, earlier this week. Should be okay for him. The one to monitor is Johnathan Hankins. Now, he says he wants to play. It'll be a challenge coming off that high ankle sprain. You're kind of in the opening of his window, his hometown team. I know he wants to be out there. I think Hankins is less, concerned and worried about his injury than he was when it first happened. So that's a good sign. The run defense clearly misses him since Dallas will actually let him play nose guard, unlike maybe Mozzie Smith sometimes. That's a good sign for Dallas. I like the optimism. Need to see him out there. Again, limited practice rep. I think he's got a chance to play, but we'll keep an eye on that one for sure. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. It's daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, watch those winnings roll in, pick more than or less than on your stat projections, and come out on top. I've hit 9 of my last 12 flex plays. That's very much in the money so far this year on Prize Picks. My selections, give me less than Jonathan Taylor yards on the ground against a suddenly good Raiders defense. More than Cooper Kupp receiving yards against the Giants. And as we'll get into, more than Dak Prescott passing yards this week, 275.5 against a Lions defense that just allowed 411 yards against the Minnesota Vikings. So I like that matchup for Dallas and Dak. We'll go more into it here in a second. But again, links in the comments and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Number one key to victory then, let Dak deal. There's no arguing against it. This offense is at its best and has the best chance of winning games when they allow the offense to be aggressive. You can ask Dak, and CeeDee Lamb already said that this week already. He said they have to be aggressive and stick to the script. The script is let Dak deal. That's where we're at. He leads the NFL in passing touchdowns this season. Wherever he finishes in the MVP race, who cares? He's going to be in that. He's been in that conversation for a while. The interceptions have not been the problem because they never were going to be going into the year. The receivers don't drop passes. He'll throw for 4,000 yards, probably past that number in this game. Been awesome this year. The Lions defense, bad pass defense. They've really regressed since the bye, by the way. 23 yards allowed through the air. They're 24th in pass EPA per play. They're 26th in success rate. This is a defense that you can and should take advantage of. They can force some turnovers, sure. Attack them. Attack that defense. You will have success. So give me the score prediction then of the Cowboys against the Lions. Sound off for me. We'll get to mine at the end of the video, but sound off for me in the comment section right now. Key to victory number 2, feed the lamb. This is not that hard. CeeDee Lamb is playing like a top 3, 4, 5, whatever, wide receiver in football. He has been awesome this year. 109 catches, will pass the 1,500-yard mark in this game if you do your job as a coaching staff. They even gave him carries. How this team went from the thing I have screamed for years, put Lamb in the backfield, give him some inside zone handoffs, give him some angle routes, to then not target him for like 4 straight drives, doesn't make sense. Cowboys had 17 points when they gave Lamb a target or a touch against the Dolphins, 3 when they did not. It's not that hard. It was a complete coaching failure, and this is on the shoulders of Mike McCarthy, to go away from CeeDee Lamb against the Miami Dolphins. Do not make the same mistake. There's nobody on that line team, and I love Brian Branch, that can really hang with CeeDee Lamb for an entire game. They don't have the horses to feed the hell out of him. So where would you rank CeeDee Lamb this year only, among NFL wide receivers? Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Key to victory number 3. We'll stick on the offense here, since they're probably more to win than the defense was last week. The ground game cannot kill you. And notice my exact terminology. Not get the ground game going, not don't feature it. It can't kill you. The advanced numbers this year do not look very good. Tony Pollard at 4.05 yards per carry. Rico Dowdle, 3.94. Neither is very good. Yards after contact on average, 2.86, 2.89. For reference, by the way, both of those numbers are right around the 50 percentile mark. So they're doing about an average-ish job of breaking tackles. But the difference between the yards per carry and yards after contact, the O-line's not doing a great job. 18 explosive runs, 10 or more yards versus 6. Negative EPA per rush. Not great success rates either. It's not just a running back issue. There's blame there too. Pollard, go to the edge on the little speed option play. Go score. Don't give the ball to Lipke and have him fumble. Give it to Dowdle. What are we doing out there? It's not that hard, But the offensive line has not done a good job. The scheme does not work. Just run duo. Duo is the meta for ground games that work, or steal from the Niners more. You ran those toss plays that worked, inside toss plays. Why'd you stop? Here is your single biggest constant when you've lost games the past 3 years with a healthy Dak Prescott at quarterback. Your ground game sucks. Now, Arizona had great success. They are the league's worst run defense, so it does make some sense. Niners, 3.2 yards per carry. Eagles, 4.2. Bills, 3.9. Dolphins, 2.8. These are running backs only, so no Dak, no receiver stuff. Last year, 3.8 against Tampa, 5.7 against Green Bay, 3.8 against Jacksonville on 35 carries, mind you, 2.4 against Washington, 3 flat against San Francisco. We can go back to 2021. Tampa, 3.1 yards per carry. Denver, 4.4. Chiefs actually good, 5.1, but few carries. Raiders, 3.2. Cardinals, 2.1. Niners, 2.8. There is a minimum correlation here. But when opposing teams' strategy on defense is, we're going to keep everything in front of us, we're going to have some shell coverage, some deep safety stuff, a easy way to beat that is to run the ball down their throats. Teams are daring Dallas to run the football. And the result in those losses, 3.8 yards per carry. And that includes some good games. but they've had almost as many sub 3 yard per carry games as above 4 yard per carry games. That's a massive issue, guys. The last 3 years in losses, 3.8 yards per carry, they turn into a bottom 5 run offense. And when teams are daring you to run the football, that's not going to work. And Pollard gets blamed, Dowdle gets blamed, the O-line gets blamed, the scheme gets blamed. I kind of think it's scheme, O-line, than backs, because I think if you want to run the ball outside of McCaffrey, the offensive line and the scheme, more so than the backs, like, it's not working. So please, and we're going to do this more in depth for number 5, do not go conservative shell in this game. They can't do it. So do you trust this running game? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Number 4, key to victory, win the turnover battle. Should have success here. Now, the Lions defense can get some takeaways. They will give up the ball as well. Here are the turnover numbers. The Lions tied for 17th in turnovers this year, 21 total. The Cowboys actually lead the league in turnovers, in the positive sense. They have only caught the ball 13 times this season. All that bemoaning turnover machine Prescott, and here he is with the fewest turnover offense. Go figure. Lions takeaways, 21st, not that great. Cowboys, not been as good as previous seasons. They're tied for 17th this season, but it's Jared Goff. If you get a Jared Goof game, take advantage of it. Make it happen. I'm a bit more worried with the inconsistencies on defense this year. You might get more of a Jared Good game. Now, we will be live for Cowboys-Lions on Saturday night, so make sure you are subscribed. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Number 5, no cowardly BS, no penalties. The last 2 weeks, the penalty numbers have gone down, to be fair, but the timing of them have been maybe worse than ever. Just brutal, back-breaking, game-impacting penalties that, frankly, they were mostly called correctly. And Big Mike's gone conservative coward. The rain is bad. We get scared of the weather. Why? What are you doing? It didn't make sense. You have to be aggressive. And this is a team you should be aggressive against. You might not match up that great defensively against the Lions offense, which is really good, but your offense should be able to light them up. So be aggressive and don't get scared if you have 1 or 2 bad drives either. My score prediction. I like Dallas this week. I will be livid if Dallas does not win this game. This is a game they should win. My faith will be shaken to an all-time low this season. Well, maybe the Niners game, but still close to it, if they cannot beat Detroit, if they go back to the same stupid BS that does not work. Give me the Cowboys to win 36-28. All right, score predictions. Let's hear your guys' in the comments section right now. We'll save Chris B. and Gatlin. Hit those 2 super chats for the mailbag we'll get to here momentarily. Give me your score predictions here in the comment section right now. By the way, Cowboys will be wearing the Navy jerseys against the Lions. It's maybe their 4th best combo. It's the Thanksgiving alternates, the color rush, the whites, and the navies. The Navy's grown on me. I did run the numbers one year of like Navy versus white, and the Navy jersey theory was a myth. So I'm not as concerned about that one there. All right, score predictions in the comments section and your questions for our mailbag. 2 ways to get on the show. Number 1, use #Cowboys. We've got Crispy and Gatlin super chats to get to as well. If there aren't enough questions, you can always go back to previous super chats as well there, Producer Chris. But you guys dictate the show on the mailbag, so get your questions in right now. #Cowboys or by super chatting. This is the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. It's a mailbag. From Chris B, a super chat to begin. If we can't beat the Lions at home, we are in big trouble. I agree. You are 6.5-point favorites as of filming. I could see that line rising maybe a little bit as well, because this is a game you should win. This should be your get-right game against a team that has spent its emotional, everything, winning the division for the first time in the NFC North. Like, this is a game you should win. I think you are the better team, and you definitely are at home. If you don't, man, I'm going to be very, very upset. From Gatlin, Dallas should screw the NFL. Play their starters against the Commanders, but don't move on defense and punt on offense. Don't make calls. We won't make plays. Mostly joking. I will say this. The chances of this game being just like last year, where it's kind of, at halftime you're not going to win the division, maybe a bit more extreme than that. You should tank. If you are out of the NFC East race, at some point during that game, you should tank and hurt the Commanders' draft status so they can't get Caleb Williams or Drake May. Dead serious. You should do that. They won't, but you should. From Mike Spalding, what should we do to shore up the defensive run stopping? You were better against the Miami Dolphins. Now, if you don't have Hankins, I think you might regress against the Lions because they're more of the Dolphins are more finesse. It kind of played out the way I thought it might, where the more finesse team, you can have some more success. Look, I thought one of your safeties stepped up. I thought Donovan Wilson played great against the run. He led the team in tackles. I don't think that's an accident that you had a better run-stopping performance because one of your safeties showed up. I need one more of my box players, my spine, and I thought Jordan Lewis played great against the run too. I need one more of my box players to step up. Now, maybe that's Osa becoming an impact run stopper or one of my defensive tackles, but Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, not good again. They should have called it. He was not good. He can't shed blocks right now. He's not seeing it well. He's guessing because the D-line's not playing that great either outside of Tank Lawrence. You ran the 6 Micah Parsons linebacker snaps that weren't even full linebacker. He was in between, stand-up defensive tackle and off-ball linebacker. Damone Clark was playing 3 yards behind Micah, but I loved it. It's kind of a version of the bear front. Do more bear front against the Lions. Bear front. That 5 across the front of the line with Micah at edge or linebacker. I don't care which. You can mix and match. Frankly, it's probably a good idea. That worked well. From It's Matt. Play Rashaan Evans over Damone Clark. I'm still not convinced that Rashaan Evans is actually going to be an upgrade, but I think you're at the point where if Damone Clark can't get it fixed, you should probably try it, right? You're at the you're starting to border on the cornerback issues last year. You guys remember that, where you tried Boss Man Fat. He was terrible. You benched him. Deshaun Wright gets benched. They try Xavier Rhodes. Eventually, they figure out, Israel Mukuamu can play corner. They didn't think that was going to be the case. They clearly don't believe in Rashaan Evans. That is clear and obvious because they will not play him. And I think it's because he can't cover. He's been burnt in a handful of snaps he's had. He's been burnt on pretty much all of them. So, but you're at the point, you maybe got to consider it. It's unfortunate. You really missed DeMarvion Overshown, by the way, and LVE. Pick a linebacker, RE for Rashaan Evans or DC for Damone Clark. It's the pinned comment on today's show. If that ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. From Bryce Peace, J-Ron Curse has disappeared this year. Really need him. Yeah. I think maybe you got to play Wanye Thomas a bit more. Oh, it's back-to-back J-Ron Curse questions. The Turnover Boys by Dak, which ironically, they didn't have them. These Turnover Boys. I saw J-Ron Curse's PFF grade versus Dolphins with 29. He's been bad this year. Time to bench him and start Wanye Thomas. I mean, probably, right? The tricky part here is that, look, J-Ron Curse is a very important part of your locker room. Team respects him. He's a vocal leader. All that stuff is accurate. The issue is he's not playing well. He's not tight end eraser anymore. I think Wanye Thomas is better in coverage. Now, I don't love Thomas as much in the box necessarily, but Dono can do that. It's just every game outside of a couple, he's been really bad. He's been a liability. Maybe in the end, that one great year from J-Ron Curse, maybe it was a fluke. Maybe that was the outlier year in the end. I don't know. Chris B, thoughts on Patrick Queen in free agency this year? Very curious what he's going to command. And I don't think the Ravens bring him back because they paid Roquan Smith. They drafted Trenton Simpson in the second, on day 2 out of Clemson. But he's gotten better each year. He was Tell you what, his first 2 years, he was bad. He was not playing good football. It looked like he was going to be a bust. He wasn't seeing the field well, wasn't feeling it well. Even 2022 started the year pretty bad, and then it's kind of right of the ship. I do think the Mike McDaniel hire has been a big thing for him. Playing alongside Roquan Smith has helped as well. If the cost is reasonable, sure. Especially from the, you might not have Leighton Vander Esch perspective next year. Now, today's show is made possible by Rocket Money. They are a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps lower your bills, all in one place. Over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has helped save its customers an average of $720 a year, with $1 billion in total savings so far. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and monitor your spending the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Holiday season can be expensive, folks, so make sure you're not wasting a bunch of money on subscriptions you don't use. From Vince, since the Cowboys lost the Dolphins, is the game against the Lions the ultimate pretender bowl? I think from Dallas's perspective, yes. The Lions have kind of exceeded expectations this year. Dallas has not. I'll say this. If you can't beat the Lions at home, who here has faith in them making an actual run? And even if you win, I think the mindset is going to be, it's at home, Lions, which is fine. I'd rather that be the narrative than they lost again. You lose 3 games in a row in playoff caliber opponents, environments, etc., faith is going to be shaken beyond belief. Brian Parson, TP needs to go. He is not a number 1 back. We can't pay him. I'll say this. I don't want to pay backs. Not how I like to operate with my budget that I am self-imposed from the Cowboys' perspective. I don't want to do it. He also will not cost you very much right now. He's not going to be expensive on the open market. You could probably get him back for 3 years, $18 million pretty easily, like $6 million bucks a year. Which, by the way, is still fine for Pollard because it's more than he would have made on an extension this past year with the franchise tag included. Hindsight, never should have tagged him. Should have dared to hit the open market. He would have not gotten that much in the end. Although maybe you would have had a Gallup best deal and would have been even worse there. I think he can be a number 1 back, but I think this scheme and this just blocking is not it. They made changes. They had to make changes. It's not the right stuff. I mean, Pollard's averaging like less than 2 yards before contact. That's not good. And there are times I think he's not hit the holes properly. He's missed some stuff. He gets blamed as well. It's not just Pollard though. It's the O-line. It's all of it. I'm fine to run the football better, but I think it's an offensive line investment that you need, not a running back investment, if that difference makes some sense. Dexter, so is Dak back in the MVP race after Purdy threw 4 picks? Probably not. If they had beat the Dolphins, yes. If Deron Bland or someone makes an incredible play on defense and they win that game, then the narrative flips to Dak led the game-winning drive in the 4th quarter against the Dolphins, and the middle 2 quarters, no one remembers them because they just remember the highlight package. It's not fair. That is how it goes. I think, strangely enough, the loss probably assigns too much blame to Dak, and the win would have assigned too much credit to Dak, if that makes some sense. Basically, I think what's going to happen is because the NFL only gives it to quarterbacks, wild card quarterbacks don't win. So if the Bills rally and win the division, maybe it's Josh Allen, which would be hilarious after the media spent so much time saying interceptions are the worst thing ever, and then give it to a guy who's going to lead the NFL in picks this season, or at least close to it, right? Funny how that works out. Or, more likely, winner of Dolphins-Ravens, that quarterback wins. Even if the defense plays great and just kind of like the quarterback plays okay, it's a heavily wins-based award. It's not fair. That's how it goes. Who is the MVP of this Cowboys team? Deuce Vaughn's the correct answer. Let's sound off for me in the comment section with your MVP answer. Gatlin. Let's hire someone to follow Mike on every 4th and 1 or goal line play and say, man, Dak's a big boy, repeatedly until he gets the memo. It's funny. I just run the sneak play. It's fine. Like the Chiefs won't do it because Mahomes got hurt one time. Okay. Hurts is a better sneaker. Okay. If you're telling me that you don't trust your offensive line to get a half yard of push, your O-line sucks. Which, by the way, is what they're telling us. Because they won't run it. Yet they'll do it on 2nd and 12 from their own 2. Because that, makes a bunch of sense as well. Just sneak it, man. It's not that hard. You just galaxy brain the hell out of it sometimes. J Love, what free agent linebackers are out there right now? Bench J-Ron and move Bell to strong safety. I mean, the role between Kearse and Bell is not that startlingly different because Kearse mostly plays in the box. That's where he's had his struggles this year. I think you can just play Juanyeh Thomas more. Free agent linebackers, there's nobody good. There's no one good. It's December. This is why you had some interest in Shackler to help your run defense potentially. And so, like against the Bills, he might have helped. Against the Lions, he might have helped. He's also had 7 tackles against the Giants. That's a game that fits him. Giants run the football a lot. Where he's not a liability in pass coverage like he's been all year. But there's nobody good out there. This is your group. For better or for worse, this is your group. Don't miss any Cowboys Report videos right here on the channel. Hit that sub button for free. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Chris B, this upcoming draft has to be better than this year. Yes, it does. I mean, yes. Your UDFA class is better than your actual draft class. And you had picks. Mozzie Smith, not up to expectations. Developmental pick, okay, whatever. Backup tight end in round 2, not great. Injured linebacker who he was going to be good. Overshown. We feel so much better, I believe, about this linebacking core if Overshown was healthy. Now he's not. How's he going to be next season? I don't know. Awesome Richards can't get on the field. Deuce Vaughn played a little bit this year. Eric Scott can't play. Junior Fehoko can't play. You're getting no snaps. Jalen Brooks, Eric Scott, Awesome Richards. I think I'm forgetting somebody else who's also not playing. Like, that's not good. It's a huge issue. You made no impact. No impact. Bryce, why did Sam Williams play 7 snaps against the Dolphins? They don't trust him against the run. They don't. Right or wrong, they don't believe in his abilities. He's kind of been in the doghouse all year, frankly. It's not a good sign. Name a player who you think should play more. Juanyeh Thomas, Sam Williams stand out to me. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. We actually had this one from Chris B earlier. Unfortunate. Mark, though, Coop has been killing it. JJ chose Gallup over him. Unquestionably, the Dallas Cowboys screwed up. They let it get personal with Amari Cooper. They did not like that he was unvaccinated. They did not like that he had various bumps and bruises over the course of the week. They did not like that he called out the coaching staff, which he was right about, to be clear. And they let it get personal, and they messed up, and they leaked how mad they were at him, and they leaked that they were going to cut him, and then panicked and said, oh, actually, we'll trade him, and only the Browns had interest, and they messed up. Because Amari Cooper would still be a big impact on this Cowboys team. You put Cooper in there over Gallup, you could cost it zero difference in dollars right now if you wanted to. You could have structured it properly. You messed up, and it hurt them because they let it get personal. Huge mistake by the Jones boys and Will McClay, frankly, as well. If we did not get to your question, hit me up on Twitter at @WhatGoingDowney. My DMs are open. It is still kind of holiday time, so apologies if I don't get back to you immediately. All right, who do you blame the most for the loss against the Miami Dolphins? Sound off for me in the comment section. Then we'll get to our playoff picture video here momentarily. Who do you blame the most for the loss to the Dolphins? I see it. Pollard, Adoga, MM. I'd agree. Coaching staff. I'd agree. Yeah. Clark, that was a bad one. Not bad. All right, playoff picture preview coming up right now here on the show. With 2 games to go, let's break down the Dallas Cowboys playoff picture, hopes, scenarios, etc. The division leaders here. Niners, Eagles, Lions, Bucks, and then the Dallas Cowboys at the number 5 spot. The Cowboys have hope here. They have the opportunity to make a push, make a run. Now, what we want, regardless of the seed, we'll break down all the seeding stuff here in a little bit. What we all want is to just have some damn playoff success. They don't hang banners for going in the divisional round and winning one. You need more than just getting to the divisional round and winning a wild card game. If that is what you want, and I know every single person watching, even the closet Cowboys fans who can be Eagles fans watching are, like the video if you want some Cowboys playoff success. And the Cowboys, at minimum here, have clinched the number 5 seed. That was mostly expected going in. Once the Vikings lost, that had been clinched. That result against the Dolphins did not matter there. As strange as this might sound, the loss to Miami, as frustrating, painful, sad, whatever term you want to use for it there, it didn't drastically change your NFC East hopes. Losing a game always stings a little bit, but the end result is still the same. You had to beat either the Lions or the Dolphins, beat the Commanders, and you need Philadelphia to lose 1 game. That is unchanged. It's just now you have to win out to get that NFC East and most likely the number 2 seed in the process, if you get the help you need. Reminder here of the tiebreakers. Head-to-head matters more than anything. That's tied against Philly no matter what. Then it comes down to division record, common games win percentage, conference win percentage, and if required, strength of victory and strength of record. In these scenarios that exist, strength of victory is now out the window. By the way, Dallas is not going to win it. The results did not go their way. People spent so much effort trying to talk to them. Here's how it can happen. It was never going to happen. Wasn't going to. It's division record, common games, conference record. The Cowboys schedule then as it remains. Home against the Lions, on the road in Week 18 against a Commanders team that finally realized their backup quarterback was better than their starter. But will they play him? Oh, I don't know, because they should probably be tanking. Unfortunately for the Cowboys, the Eagles' schedule is easy. Home against the Cardinals, at the Giants in Week 18. A game in which the Giants, I don't know, they can scratch and claw, but who's going to be their quarterback, Taylor or DeVito? We'll find out. What do you think is the percent chance that the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East? It's the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. All right, scenario number 1 is the Dallas Cowboys win out. The Eagles lose to the Giants, and the Cowboys would then win the NFC East. They would have the better division record. Again, friendship canceled with Tommy DeVito, it seems like. Ty God is my new best friend. You got to bank on Tyrod Taylor there. Or Kyler Murray reappears. Cowboys win out, and the Eagles lose to the Cardinals. The Cowboys would then win the NFC East due to conference games win percentage. They would be able to jump back in there because their last 2 losses came against the AFC East. I will make note, if Week 18 comes down to it, where both teams are still alive, Cowboys and Philadelphia, just like last year, those games would be run simultaneously. They would be going on at the exact same time, so there's no competitive advantage or disadvantage for either side. Scenario number 3, Cowboys lose to the Lions, but the Eagles lose out. They all just suck down the stretch. Cowboys win the division. In that scenario, the Cowboys would still win the NFC East. That would be a key scenario for them. Basically, you need help from the Eagles. If the Eagles can lose a game or 2 games and you just take care of your business, you will be in much better shape. I am unconvinced that will happen, but it's where things currently sit. You have to have help from Philadelphia. That didn't really change because you lost to the Miami Dolphins. It didn't really impact things in the end. It's just bad loss, hurts your confidence, etc. Everything you want is still in front of you as far as I'm concerned. So the Carpe Omnia, whatever the line is, all of that still in play, but you need help. Given the schedule, not confident it's going to go down that way. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go to Prize. Let's go to today's sponsor. That's Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLN. It's heard me say it 100 times, right? 1,000 times now. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, choose more than or less than on said stat projections, and if you can hit the power play or the flex play, boom, you are now in the money. There's no battling thousands of players. You got to be 2 percentile to anything. Nope. Just beat the numbers. You guys all know ball. You can all do that. My picks this week. Dak Prescott, more than passing yards. I feel good about it. Cooper Kupp, more than receiving yards. The Giants' secondary is not that great. Jonathan Taylor, less than rushing yards, as the Raiders' defense has played pretty well as of late. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Let's break down the seeding odds then. With this all per the New York Times Upshot Simulator, the number 1 seed, less than 1% for Dallas. There is a path. We'll get to it. It's not going to happen. Number 2 seed, 18%. That 3 seed scenario, by the way, is you lose to the Lions, beat the Commanders, Eagles lose out. 2% chance feels about right to me. And then the 5 seed, 79% chance. You can't get the 4 seed anymore. Yeah. We've been down this road before, haven't we? You beat the Bucs in the wild card round, and then if barring upsets, you get to face the San Francisco 49ers. Do you believe in this Cowboys team in terms of making an actual run? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Let's look then at that number 1 seed scenario. The Cowboys will lose the head-to-head tiebreaker against San Francisco. Therefore, they need help to get the number 1 seed. They have to finish with the better record. That means the Cowboys win out, the Niners lose out, and my hopes are not up for that. They play on the road against the Commanders in Week 17. It's going to be a pissed-off Niners team because they got their butts kicked by Baltimore. Home against the Rams in Week 18, who potentially have already clinched the playoff spot. There's a chance that happens for the Rams. There's a reason why San Francisco, who holds the tiebreaker over every other NFC team, by the way, is the overwhelming favorite to be the number 1 seed this year. 93% chance, because they basically have to lose out. It's just not going to happen. Niners will get the bye almost assuredly. The number 2 seed then, beating the Lions gives the Cowboys the 2 seed tiebreaker, but they'd still need to win the NFC East. And that still requires significant help from Philadelphia, as we have previously broken down. Now, we will be live for what should be an awesome game between the Cowboys and the Lions. That was not the case against the Bills. Non-Cowboy fan perspective, there's a fun game against the Dolphins. Came all the way down to the wire. Hopefully a better result this time around. Make sure you are subscribed. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Week 17 rooting guide. Straightforward, right? You want the Eagles to lose. Go Cardinals. You want the Niners to lose. Go Commanders. We are going to cheer for the Giants over the Rams for 2 reasons. Number 1, build some confidence going into Week 18 against Philadelphia. 2, hurt their draft pick. That's why the Cardinals-Commanders is a double whammy, right? Keep the good quarterbacks out of the NFC. We'll see if it happens. Of note, a Tampa win clinches the NFC South. If you want Tampa to be your opponent, go Bucs. If you're up with the Saints or Falcons, don't go Bucs. There would take a collapse for them not to be it, so question mark there, but what most likely happens. Oh, and of course, go Cowboys. This is a game, again, I've said it before, I'm going to be pissed if they lose this game. This is a game you have to have. Right the ship going to the postseason. Show you can beat a good football team. I know it's at home. You missed your road better than 500 team chances. They're gone now. Get another win over a playoff team. This would give you either 3 or 4 wins most likely, depending on what happens with Seattle and the Rams. So they're both probably going to get in, by the way. Take down Detroit. If you don't, it's going to be a very long week. Who you got? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Sound off for me in the comments section. No loop today. It did go for like an hour and a half, so I think that's enough time. I'm not going to make producer Chris stay here until whatever time that ends up being. An extra hour and a half from here. So who you got? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Should be Dallas. I've been disappointed the past 2 weeks. I'm going to be mad if they lose because they should win this game. I will be upset. Pens will be thrown. It's a late night game. I can cuss. Olivia is going to be in bed at kickoff. Therefore, I can cuss. At least she should be in bed by kickoff. We'll see it. If you have not already, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Cowboys videos.